Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Rama. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Suranandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamnatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Prevajakacharya, Astatya Sadashi Shimad, His Divine Grace. Srila A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to some devotees, all glories to some devotees, all glories to some devotees, all glories to Shishi Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 33, text number 27 to 37, focusing on...
excuse me.
No, take that back.
We read 32, so let's do 32 through the end of the chapter.
32 to the end of the chapter. 32 it is, huh?
30. So the focus verse is 30 today.
Okay, so we're going to start on 32, and we're going to focus on 30.
So yesterday we had a little miscommunication. So how about 30 through 37 and focus on 30?
Okay, 30 to 37. Does that end the chapter? No, yeah, that does end the chapter. Okay, 30.
Thank you for your patience.
We got it together now, folks. We're ready to roll. And we're going to chant, which verse? We're going to chant the text 30? Okay. Evam sa kapilo tena margin archirataha param atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha ha evam sa kapiloktena morgan archira param atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha evam sa kapiloktena morgan ajirata param atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha evam sa kapiloktena morgan ajirata param atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha.
Evam sa kapilo ketena.
Evam sa kapilokena morgan ajivataparam atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha. Evam sa kapiloktena morgan ajivataparam atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha. Evam sa kapiloktena morgan ajivataparam atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha. Mataji's. Evam sa kapiloktena morgan ajivataparam atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha. Evam, thus, sa, she, Devahuti, Kapila, by Kapila, Uktena, instructed, Margena, by the path, Archita, soon, Param, supreme, Atmanam, super soul, Brahma, Brahman, Nirvanam, cessation of materialistic existence. Bhagavantam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Avapa, she achieved. Ha, certainly. So we just read the translation all the way through and then come back and read the purport? Or do you read the purport now?
Either way.
Okay. Okay. Translation, my dear Vidura, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devahuti soon became liberated from material bondage, and she achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a super soul without difficulty. Purport. 3 words have been used in this connection to describe the achievement of Devahuti: Atmanam, Brahmanirvanam, and Bhagavantam. These refer to the gradual process of discovery of the absolute truth, mentioned herein as the Bhagavantam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead resides in various Vaikuntha planets. Nirvana means to extinguish the pangs of material existence. Sometimes on the campuses you see people with this word on their shirt, Nirvana. There was a group, Nirvana, somehow they got... So I asked people, you know what that means? Haven't a clue, they don't know what it means. It means freedom of material existence. I go, oh, okay. Actually, sometimes they go, it means freedom of material suffering. And they say, oh, good, yeah. Because this attachment to matter, this brings suffering. The Supreme Personality of Godhead resides in various Vaikuntha planets. Nirvana means to extinguish the pangs of material existence. When one is able to enter into the spiritual kingdom or into the spiritual realization, one is automatically freed from material pangs. That is called Brahma Nirvana. According to Vedic scriptures, Nirvana means cessation of materialistic way of life. Atmanam means realization of the super soul within the heart. Ultimately, the highest perfection is realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is to be understood that Devahuti entered the planet which is called Kapila Vaikuntha. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets predominated by the expansions of Vishnu. All the Vaikuntha planets are known by a particular name of Vishnu, as we understand from the Brahma Samhita, Advaitam, Achutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Ananta means innumerable. The Lord has innumerable expansions of His transcendental form, and according to the different positions of the symbolical representations in His 4 hands, He is known as Narayan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, etc. There is also a Vaikuntha planet known as Kapila Vaikuntha, to which Devahuti was promoted to meet Kapila and reside there eternally, enjoying the company of her transcendental son. Pretty amazing, huh? Kapila Vaikuntha. Jai Shri Shri Radha Kalachanji. Text 31. The palace where Devahuti achieved her perfection, my dear Vidura, is understood to be a most sacred spot. It is known all over the 3 worlds as Siddha Pada. Text 32. Dear Vidura, the material elements of her body have melted into water and are now a flowing river, which is the most sacred of all rivers. Wow, interesting way to leave their body. Went into water. Isn't it Narottam Das Thakur? His body, he went into the Ganges, and was it milk? What was it? Huh? What is it? Milk, yeah. It transformed into milk, just no form anymore, just milk. Amazing. Anyone who bathes in that river also attains perfection, and therefore all persons who desire perfection go and bathe there. It doesn't say what river it is, though. It just says river. Text 33. My dear Vidura, the great sage Pila, the personality of Godhead, left his father's hermitage with the permission of his mother and went towards the northeast. Who was his father? Text 34. While he was passing in the northern direction, all the celestial denizens known as Charanas and Gandharvas, as well as the Munis and the damsels of the heavenly planets, prayed and offered him all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence. Purport. Purport? Okay. It is understood that Kapila Muni first went towards the Himalayas and traced the course of the river Ganges, and he again came to the delta of the Ganges at the sea known as the Bay of Bengal. The ocean gave him residence at a place still known as Ganga Sagara, where the river Ganges meets the sea. That place is called Ganga Sagara Tirtha, and even today people gather there to offer respects to Kapila Dev, the original author of the Sankhya system of philosophy. Unfortunately, this Sankhya system has been misrepresented by an impostor who is also named Kapila, but that other system of philosophy does not tally with anything described in the Sankhya of Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 35. Even now, Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls in the three worlds, and all the acharyas, or great teachers of the system of Sankhya philosophy, are worshipping him. Text 36. My dear son, since you have inquired from me, I have answered. O sinless one, the descriptions of Kapila Dev and his mother and their activities are the purest of all pure discourses. And this is the last verse of the chapter, 37. The descriptions of the dealings of Kapila Dev and his mother is very confidential, and anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda, and he therefore enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Purport: the narration of Kapila Dev and his mother Devahuti is so perfect and transcendental that even if one only hears or reads this description, he achieves the highest perfection goal of life, for he engages in the loving service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no doubt that Devahuti, who had the Supreme Lord as her son, and who followed the instructions of Kapila Dev so nicely, attained the highest perfection of human life. Kapila Dev ki jai. Om Jnanatamannandasya Gnanjana Salakaya Chakshum Manjamyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukram Kotavachalang Pangam Langhayate Gurim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shri Gurum Dyanataranam Vanchakalpa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Kapila Dev left with us some very nice instructions. One of the most famous is Satang Prasangang Mamavirya Sangvaro Bhavantirit Karna Vasaya Nakata. The Jyosanas Aspavargavart Shradhavatir Bhakti Anukramishati. That devotees of the Lord, they derive great happiness in hearing the glories of Krishna in the association of other devotees. And this is very pleasing to the ear and to the heart. And simply by this hearing about Krishna in the association of other devotees, one gains great faith in Krishna. It's nice to have faith. Krishna says those who are not faithful, they return to the cycle of birth and death. So by association with devotees, we gain great faith. See, there's preliminary faith and there's nishta, there's firm faith. Shraddha dir bhakti, and then one gets this faith, then one gets a taste. From that shraddha, we get a taste for serving Krishna. And then we get bhakti. This is the goal. So it begins with this association with devotees. And actually it's by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that there's so much association. Just like we're going to have the Mayapur festival soon in Mayapur, and there's so many devotees. Now they're always building more facilities for devotees to live in, but there's never enough. You lived in Mayapur, right? Vrindavan. So it's amazing. There's just so many devotees by the mercy of Prabhupada. Yeah. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he said that the most important part of the morning program is Guru Puja, where we show our gratitude. Prabhupada has given us so much, such a nice life, such a nice process for purification. So there should be some gratitude. Prabhupada is actually here. You want to hear nice? I had a dream. I won't tell the whole dream, it's a little personal, but I had a dream and the Murti came alive and Prabhupada spoke to me. And afterward, this is on Watsika Avenue in Los Angeles. And after this, after Prabhupada spoke to me, I went running down the street and I'm shouting, running down the street, Prabhupada's back! Prabhupada's back! I was pretty happy. So, it's not that this is just a statue, Prabhupada's there. I'll tell you an amazing story of this devotee who was here visiting Parameshwar. He's the #1 book distributor in the world. He had a dream where Prabhupada, the Murti came alive, and Prabhupada said to him, I want to preach. And there was some devotee, there were some people around. Somehow there were some people in the temple room, and Prabhupada, I want to preach to someone. And Parameshwar said, okay, Prabhupada, okay. So he's trying to stop people so they come and Prabhupada could preach to them, but nobody was stopping. Sankirtan, a lot of times people don't stop, So he went over to Prabhupada, no one's stopping. Prabhupada said, that's okay, you keep trying. So then finally he stopped somebody. Parameshwar had a book, he's always got a book. So he stopped the person and he handed the book to the person and then he said to this person, the author of this book, he wants to speak to you. So then Parameshwar turned around and Prabhupada was gone. So then he understood that he got the book. So that's Prabhupada. That's how Prabhupada preaches in the book. So, yes, Prabhupada's still with us. And now Devahuti here, she's so fortunate. The Supreme Lord was speaking to her, the absolute truth. Yeah. So, and Krishna himself came 5,000 years ago, and he was speaking to so many people. But how many people understood that Krishna was the Lord, was God? Just a handful. Prabhupada said just a handful understood that Krishna was God. But he was there. And Krishna's here. Yeah. Shri Shri Radha Kalachandji. He's here. And there's many instances of the deity speaking to devotees. And there's one example of Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was in New Dwarka, his plan, he came to America in 1965, And his plan was to just preach here in America. He wasn't planning on going back to India. And he was having some good results. He had many temples in America, so his plan was just to continue preaching. But then there was some friction. There was some deviation. There was some deviation by his disciples. So, and it was very disturbing to him. And Dwarkadi spoke to him. Go back to India. Go back to India. Preach. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. And Prabhupada would speak to him, but I'm preaching here, that's okay. Go back to India. So from that, Prabhupada went back to India and did his amazing preaching in India. So it's not a marble stone. The Supreme Personality of God is there. And He likes it when we come and we sing and dance. Actually, Prabhupada says in one lecture, he said, if you dance before the deities, you become light. Anybody want to lose weight? You become light, not only materially, because you get the, and Prabhupada says, and you become free of the modes of nature. That's how you become light. You become free of the heavy modes of nature. And then he said, and you develop your love for Krishna. 3 things by dancing before the deities. You become light, you become free of the modes of nature, and you develop your love for Krishna. When I heard that, I thought, all right, I'm a dancer, man. I would already dance, but I danced more after I heard that, more dancing. So Krishna's a person. He's a person, and he likes to see his devotees. I'll tell you an interesting pastime with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was here, this is maybe late 90s, or mid-90s, and he had one disciple here, Kaustuba. Many might know Kaustuba, he's a dear disciple of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj is here for maybe a week, and so many devotees were coming to the morning program, Mangal Artik and Guru Puja, and when he was leaving, he was there with Kaustuba, and he said, wasn't it nice to see so many devotees participating in the morning program? And then Kaustuba said, well, after you leave, no one comes. It's empty. He said, what? Yeah, only when you come do they come. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj is very upset. Yeah, that only when he comes do people come. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj is also here still. It's like, imagine if someone came and took his picture away. I mean, devotees are pretty upset if someone just took his picture away, because this picture's been there since he left, probably. Devotees would be pretty upset. Why? Someone might say, well, it's just a picture. It's not just a picture. Picture represents someone. Tamal Krishna Maharaj is there. So he's here. And he sees who's here, who's not. So it's so important that we attend what Prabhupada has set up. And Prabhupada, he considered Mangal Artik so important. He was in India, and this was during the Kumbh Mela, 1976. And Prabhupada's not well. Devotees weren't having Mangal Artik. They were sleeping. And Prabhupada found out, and he was upset. And he was not well, but just to be a good example, he got up himself, took a cold shower, and went to Mangal Artik, just to let them. And of course, then everybody got up. After that, when they saw that, everybody. So it's so important. This is it's called auspicious Artik, Mangal Artik, auspicious Artik. It's Good way to start the day. So I just wanted to say that because sadhana is so important. In Kali Yuga, it's so difficult to advance. Kali kaler bala indriya vaira varga shi bhakti marga kanta koti ruda. That in this age of Kali, these senses are very powerful, very strong. It's very difficult to control the senses. And the path of bhakti is spiked by thousands of thorny obstacles. So many obstacles. This is Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. He says, therefore, my dear Lord, if you are not merciful to me, then how will I advance to you? So this is how we get the mercy of Krishna. Yeah. We have to follow the instructions. And then Krishna, he says, Mach chita sarva durgani mat prasada tarishasi atatatanga hankaram nashoshasi vanangshasi. Krishna says, if you become conscious of me, you'll cross over all the obstacles on your path to pure devotional service. If, however, you act out of false ego, not hearing me, then you'll be lost. So if we, Krishna's given us so many nice instructions, Prabhupada's given us so many nice instructions. One person, devotee, came up to you and said, Vijay, I'm struggling in this journey, this path. I said, Prabhupada, he has set this up so nicely. If we just follow what Prabhupada has set up, we'll grow nicely. Just don't follow your mind. Don't follow your mind. Follow Krishna. But that's also difficult. One time Prabhupada was speaking to some devotees in France, and he was speaking about this, how this process is so nice. We can grow spiritually and go back to Godhead. And then he said, so what is the difficulty? And he said again, what is the difficulty? So what is the difficulty? Difficulty is the mind. This is the mind. Krishna says in the Uddhava Gita, Durjyana Mahammana, of difficult things to conquer, I'm the mind. Not a kingdom. That's nothing compared to conquering the mind. Very difficult. And therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you have to beat the mind. Now the devotees in the early days in San Francisco, they heard that instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that you have to beat the mind. So what they would do every morning, they would go down to the basement and they would grab somebody else's shoe. And 100 times they would beat their head with somebody else's shoe. And then Prabhupada heard about that. And Prabhupada said, no. You beat your mind with your intelligence, not with somebody else's shoe. So they stopped doing that, but many of them, they were missing that part of the morning program. So what does that mean? We beat the mind with the intelligence. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that those who study Bhagavad Gita, they worship me with their intelligence. That's how we worship Krishna, when we study Bhagavad Gita with our intelligence. So this nurtures our intelligence. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we read Srimad Bhagavatam, and that keeps the mind down. Otherwise, the mind becomes strong. So this keeps the path clear. In the Bhagavatam, there's an example given of two villages in India, and there's family members in each village. So there's a beaten path because they're going back and forth. But then at one point, all the family members, they go to one village. So there's no more beaten path. eventually the grass covers the path. So we're on this journey back to Krishna, you know, and the more we hear and the more we chant, it's a beaten path back to Krishna. Yeah. But if we stop this hearing and chanting, if we're not serious, then this path gets covered by grass, by the grasses of material desire. And it's not a beaten path anymore. It gets covered. So we don't want this path to get covered. It's been covered for a long time. Now, by the mercy of Prabhupada, we have this path back to Krishna. But we have to keep it a beaten path, hearing and chanting. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu, smaranam pada sevan, archanam vandanam dasyam, sakyam atma nivedanam. This hearing, so important. Shrimbatam sva kata Krishna, punya shravana kirtan, hridyantasto hyabadrani, vidanoti sarhitsatam. That Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is a Paramatma, the super soul in the hearts of all living entities, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who simply relishes his messages. So if we read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we just relish, wow, this is so nice. This is so nice. Just relish it. Then Krishna, he cleanses the dirt from the heart. And how much dirt is there? Lots of it. Covered, so much dirt. You know? But it can be cleansed. I'll give you an example. There's magnets that are attracted to iron, right? But if some rust gets over the iron, if a lot of rust gets over the iron, then eventually no attraction, right? The magnet and the iron, there's absolutely no attraction because it's covered by the rust, right? But if you scrape that rust off, then eventually there'll be attraction again. So what we're doing by this hearing and chanting and serving is we're scraping off this rust, this rusty lust. Yeah. We're scraping it off, scraping and scraping. We got to be a little patient. There's a lot of rust there, a lot of dirt. So we got to be patient. We got to keep patiently scraping, and eventually there'll be attraction again. Yeah. And then we'll be satisfied. Nothing in this world will satisfy the soul. But devotional service, excuse me, devotional service to Krishna fully satisfies the soul to the point where it's not interested in anything else. So many devotees had so much, and they just gave it up. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they're multi-millionaires. They were so rich, and they gave it all up. They gave it all up to live in Vrindavan, and they were, excuse me, and they were living under a different tree. They were homeless, living under a different tree every night. They were homeless, they had nothing. But they were the wealthiest people on the planet because they had so much love for Krishna. It's stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prema Dana Vanavyadi Daridra Jivan. Dasakoya Vitana Moya Deha Prema Dana. If one does not have love for Krishna, one is considered to be Daridra Jivan, a poor soul. Therefore, my dear Lord Krishna, please give me love for you, and all I want as salary is devotional service. Please give me service to you, and all I want in return is love for you. So this is the best salary we can get, not millions of dollars. That doesn't bring happiness. So many unhappy millionaires out there. But if someone's a pure devotee, He's completely satisfied because he's got the real wealth. And Prabhupada also. Prabhupada, before he came to America, in the late 50s, early 60s, he had nothing. He had nothing. He renounced duty. He had taken Vanapras, no money, no nothing, no facility, nothing. 1 or 2 dhotis, nothing. But he was the wealthiest person on the planet because he had so much love for Krishna. So much love that it bubbled over. Therefore, when he came to America, so many people took to Krishna consciousness. Eventually thousands throughout the world, thousands. His love for Krishna was bubbling over, and people were catching it. Yeah. People were catching this mercy of Prabhupada. One devotee asked Prabhupada, how can we get your mercy? And Prabhupada said, you just have to accept it. I'm giving it. You just have to accept it. So this is the problem, accepting the mercy. And Prabhupada preached to so many people, millions of people. In Mexico, there was one instance where he was visiting Mexico City, and he had been preaching all day. And then the president said, Prabhupada, tonight there's going to be another program, a radio program, but it's at midnight, late. And Prabhupada said, and how many people will hear? Prabhupada, it's one of the most popular radio programs in the country. There'll be about 10 million people listening. Prabhupada said, all right, let's go. And the interviewer was so nice, so South Americans can be very nice, gentle. And so Prabhupada was asking really good questions. Millions of people heard Prabhupada. And in the time Prabhupada was here, millions and millions of people heard Prabhupada. But how many people accepted his mercy? Very few. Very few. Yes?
Could you hear this? I'm just wondering, will there be any time for questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just did it. That's it, right now. Yes.
The mercy is there, but the mind is either the worst enemy or the best friend.
Well, the mind can be our worst enemy, or it can be our best friend. What is it that makes one an enemy or a friend?
Thank you.
This is a question to all of you.
That's what I need.
What is it that makes someone your friend or your enemy? Yes. Give her the microphone so the internet can hear also.
Well, your friend wants what is in your best interest, and your
Yes.
enemy wants to prevent you from having what's best for you.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Who is our friend, who is our enemy, is seen in behavior. It's seen in behavior. Your best friend will do things that are in your best interests. They have your best interest at heart. But the enemy doesn't have your best interest at heart at all. They want to be a hindrance to you. Exploit you. Yeah. Sometimes enemies are so bad they'll try to kill somebody, isn't it? It happens every day, isn't it? But the friend is always thinking of how to help. And sometimes our own mind is our enemy. If we're thinking of things that are not conducive, that will not help us in our devotional service, then it's our enemy. If we do things that are not helpful in going closer to Krishna, then it's our enemy. If we do things that are helping us, then it's our friend. Just like coming to Srimad Bhagavatam, coming to Guru Puja, these things help us. Coming to Mangalarti, they help us. Of course, I know it's sometimes it's not easy, household life. I mean, I never had children, so it's not easy. You got children, they got to take rest early, right? In order for you to take rest early, they got to take rest early, right? So it could be a challenge. But maybe maybe can they be trained to take rest early, or it's kind of hard? It's kind of hard to do that. What's that?
If they were rewarded. I mean, kids, I found with my boys when we were going to the program when they were growing up.
Oh, give her the microphone. Here we go. We got confessions of a
Yes.
mother with many children.
No, just my two sons. They had natural inclination to go to the temple. But every now and then it would be something would happen at night, and I just didn't want to get them up because I knew 6 hours is not for kids. They have to have 8 or more.
Right.
But a lot of times they would come, and then we would just put pillows in the corner, and they would take a nap.
Oh.
It happened. No, it happened a lot. And,
Yeah.
And then they
Whatever
wanted
it
to come.
takes, right?
They wanted to come because they knew they would get Maha Burfi. So,
Thank you for that. How many sons? Yeah, I know.
Me and my brother. I'm just wondering who her 2 sons
Yeah.
are. The morning program.
Well, better to sleep in the temple room than at home, right? I mean, okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. This was a really sweet class. So many beautiful points. I felt like I was writing so many nice things. Thank you. I don't have any questions, just comments. You were talking about dancing in front of the deities, and I heard by Bhakti Dhirodhar Swami, he said that when we raise our hands and we chant the names of God, it sends the names upward, like to the heavenly planets. And when we dance with our feet, then we're liberating the lower planets, like the hellish planets. So the more motivation. And then also I had this thought when you were talking about beating the mind and these devotees took the shoes. I was thinking that, by interesting arrangement, it could be seen as like the dust from the lotus feet going into the mind. I don't know,
There's
I
some
mean,
dust there. That's the idea. They were getting
Yes.
dust,
Maybe that was what was happening on a subtle level. I don't know. Okay.
One thing about dancing before the deities, or being in front of the deities, there was an instance in Calcutta where devotees were having Mangalartik, and they were all standing with their hands. They were standing like this, dancing with their hands like this. Swami step with their hands in the back, and Prabhupada went back and he was slapping all their hands. He said, "You don't stand before the deities with your hands in the back, like, no. The best place to have your hands in Artik is like this. Next best is like this. Next best is like this. With your, where the hands are, the hands say a lot. It's like a mudra, how we are in front of the deities. And sometimes you see devotees with their hands in their pockets. That's also not good. And that's too casual before the deities. Shouldn't have our hands in the pockets. The next is to have your hands, just standing with your hands to the side.
I was told about the pockets. I think it was Srila Gurudev said it. Krishna's wondering what's inside your pocket.
Yeah, good one. Why you got your hands in your pockets? So where our hands are is important. Of course, where our heart is most important. But that says where our hands are going to be. Where our heart is, that's where our hands will be as well. Yes.
I was kind of wondering, this is kind of a side topic that you mentioned, but you were talking about the reciprocation of the deities, Prabhupada Murti, Radha Kalachandji, and also dreams and stuff. personally, I'm like, oh, I don't deserve a dream of Krishna at all, or a dream of Prabhupada at all, or stuff like that. But I see it happen a lot, that like the deity seems to reciprocate a lot with some people, even if it's like their first day or something. They're like, the deities winked at me, or something like that. But and then like some people are around for like 20 years, and I'm like, do you ever have a Krishna dream? And they're like, nope, I never had a Krishna dream. So I'm wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
You know, what's really interesting, this reminds me of one lady who, she was just visiting New Vrindavan. She wasn't a devotee at all. She's in that Prabhupada's palace, and she's in there where the Murti is, and she hears, "Take my shoes." And she's, nice lady, law-abiding. And she hears again, "Take my shoes." Now this is when Kirtananda was off. New Vrindavan was off. "Take my shoes." She hears it again. She has a bag. She puts her shoes in her bag, and she leaves. About 4 years, huh? Prabhupada's shoes are there, yeah. About 3 years later, when they came back to ISKCON, she heard a voice, "You can put my shoes back now." So she went back to New Vrindavan. She put the shoes back. This is the Karmi lady. It's like, oh, so I don't know what to say about that, Prabhu. I mean, there's very, very sincere devotees that haven't had dreams of Krishna before. That doesn't mean that you're not a sincere devotee. Your sincerity is seen by action, right? So don't think that your relationship with Krishna is dependent on dreams. No, it's dependent on action. Yeah. Okay, one more, and then I got to go on book distribution.
I was just thinking as you were saying that, and it just that the Lord's mercy comes in all different ways for different devotees, and that it's that whether you have a dream or not, it doesn't mean that the Lord's mercy is not there. It comes in many different forms and shapes and sizes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For the individual.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Dear devotees, if I may say something before you all leave. We just ended the third canto, and we start the fourth canto. And I thought it was very auspicious because Vijay Prabhu ended the third canto, and tomorrow the fourth canto, Parameshwar Prabhu, will start with the fourth canto. And I had a little flashback when Prabhu was speaking Bhagavatam, and when I was speaking Bhagavatam, and there was probably only one or two people in the temple room. And I remember Deepak, where is he? Deepak, you remember the days when it was just basically you and maybe one other person. And I was looking around, there's like 15 to 18 devotees here. So I was just really appreciate that, and I wanted to thank you all for coming. It's so important. And then on Saturdays, we're getting up to 20 to 25 people and stuff. So it's very, I was talking to Tulsi yesterday, and I was saying, thank you so much for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. It's really inspiring. And she was saying, I'm getting so much fulfillment from it. And I think that we're all having a little part of that, is that, Nasta prayas abaishu nityam bhagavata sevna, bhagavati atumus sloke, bhaktir bhavati naistaki. The Srimad Bhagavatam is establishing Krishna as an irrevocable fact, right? And so this is just, I wanted to say thank you, and you can see the light of Srimad Bhagavatam in our community, and so thank you very much. Hare Krishna. The light of Bhagavatam. Let's have the light and book distribution. Jai. praying.
I guess everyone's saying yes. It's a little, it's kind of complicated. So, which one? The tune, because yeah, but I like it.
There are different schools of thought. Either school allows this. We used to give the example of devotees